Project says, what is literacy? How has it been defined to me?
Oh, I'm so tired, and I have no time to think about creative things.
Well, I could tell you what literacy ain't. Literacy ain't saying ain't all the time with no double negatives.
I need to speak to that for just a moment. We just learned from Amanda Godley and Allison Etcher that sometimes the dialect that students are speaking does not necessarily mean that they're illiterate. It just means perhaps that they are speaking in another dialect. For instance, like the African American Vernacular English. And while standard English is important to teach them, it is also important to understand that literacy involves more than just correct English speaking. Is that understood? We have to keep that in mind because as we're learning, and we all learned this last week in our little class time, that even though students may come into our class with a different accent, it does not necessarily mean that they are illiterate. It just means that they have grown up in that dialect and they are probably very, very capable of answering some questions in their own dialect.
And I think that we've learned from this project, from this course study, that being literate is more than just being able to read and write.
It's got to be creative. It's got to involve literacy.
I could draw a cartoon, but today I drew hands on the board and it looked like a turkey feather.
My creativity is gone.
What do you mean your creativity is gone? Your creativity's not gone. You can do this. You can do this. You're a theater person.
Oh my gosh, I think I'm delirious.
Do you see what you've written down? I used to think that being literate meant you could read and write. Magazines, textbooks, and Facebook posts at midnight. But now I feel it's something more real. Literacy is the way I go through time, making sense of all the rhyme and reason around me.
Did I seriously break into song and dance?
Remember, we learned way back in choice words that our words are very important. So you can do this. See, I told you could do this. You just needed to put your mind to it, say a little prayer, and get going, and you just did a great job. You just did so good, so good. I just had the most horrible dream. Literacy is more than an open door. It reveals a whole new world to be explored and understood, full of bad and full of good. It helps us know and learn and make informed decisions as citizens. Literacy. What do you think? Wasn't that tremendous? According to our first assignment, my definition is in alignment with all I've talked about and the articles I've read. Way back in old September, one of the first classes I remember, we made a list of traits about inquiry. We said it fosters creativity, student-led group activity, questions linked to better understanding, the goals to develop better critical thinking skills. So if I look at what I'm wanting my students to learn and do, it's so much greater than learning grammar and basic spelling too. It's about giving them the tools they need to think about this place, to conduct themselves with curiosity, creative thinking, and grace. Literacy is the way I move through time, making sense of all the rhyme and reason around me. Literacy is more than an open door. It reveals a whole new world to be explored and understood, full of bad and full of good. It helps us to know and learn and make informed decisions for citizens. Literacy. As Shallot and Martin skillfully summed, our new constructivist theory in education sees the student more than just a machine, but a meaning maker in life, making sense of all the new things that they've learned through literacy, which means to me, I can read, I can write, I can think about what I have written. I can make new connections based on everything I've read. I can think about what I've seen. I can apply what I know. I can dream thanks to literacy. Ooh, I'll take this one. What does it mean to be literate in your content area? Ooh, I'll take this one. In my classes, I intend on teaching lots of mini lessons about literacy while I'm teaching the other content. They're hand-in-hand married, social studies and literacy as well. You just have to be aware that the two go together and how they fit, and be consciously aware that every time they pick up a pencil or a piece of paper or an article or a primary document, that you are teaching them how to interpret that and ask questions like this. Who wrote that document? And why did they write that document? And is that document factual? Or is it mostly opinion? And if it is factual, where did they get their facts? Because they're just a person as well. Teaching them to think like a historian is something that's important, not just in teaching literacy, but in teaching to the content area. So, when I'm up there at the board and I'm having a moment where I'm reading an article, I think the think aloud strategy is something that would be very, very helpful for this age group. The middle school students need to know how to think about these things, and sometimes it's just a matter of giving them a little scaffolding underneath. We're getting smarter, we're learning more, and there's more information that my students are going to have. Why, my dear, to be literate in history means that you are capable of making connections based on what you've read in the world around you.
But we have to make sure our classes understand where to get good information resources at. For instance, how to look things up on the internet and ask themselves, is the internet the best place to look for this information? And which website is the best website to go to? I think as far as history and social studies is concerned, that is one of the most important things that we can teach our students, how to find good information resources and ask questions the entire time we're reading that information. Well, now, I do agree that there are several ways we can teach literacy through history. Literacy and history go hand in hand, have throughout time. In fact, we wouldn't even have history if it wasn't recorded somehow down on a piece of paper or parchment or a stone tablet somewhere.
Well, I'll take this one again. The how to teach literacy in the content area. Well, first, to begin, one must be aware that literacy is important. One must realize that every time you open a page, take out a pencil, and begin to write, there is a lesson to be learned. Why, teaching many lessons on such things as how to read a caption, how to tell what's on the information on a timeline, and how to take notes and dash facts. All of those things are very, very important for historical studies.
Why, I think being aware of what you're doing is one of the most important things when you're teaching in a content area and you're incorporating literacy. Being aware that everything you're doing is teaching literacy. How you speak to your students, how you encourage them, and how you allow them to speak to each other, how you teach them to take good notes, how you teach them to write and mark their texts. That's all very important when it comes to teaching in the content area, literacy in the content area.
And another thing that I think would be important to use in our classes would be how to write journal entries about the information I've learned. Why, writing workshops are very, very useful at this age to help students build connections from their background knowledge and their current knowledge. Why, we learned in the content area writing guide, every teacher's guide to writing here, they had some very practical ways that we could use informational writing. We also learned about something called something very, very interesting called the multi-genre project.
We love to enact things, so let's go ahead and use a lot of scripts and a lot of script creation with our students. Why, letting them come up with skits and plays and things like that, and a lot of creativity, a lot of use of creativity, because that's who we are as a person. So, we can encourage that in our students, and then we give them some choices, like the multi-genre project that she was talking about. Someone else might feel more comfortable doing a brochure, for instance, on the history of jazz music, rather than writing a song about it or adding lyrics. So, if we give them options, then they have something that they can do that's original, creative, and provides them with a means to communicate their ideas and information. That is what literacy is, after all, is it not? Making connections, providing information.
Well, there you did it. You turned a perfectly fine project that could have been simple and easy, and you made it pretty darn hard. But it's really about taking in the whole of language and being able to use it to my advantage in society. And being able to say to the world, I can function in you, and I'm not afraid. So I guess I shouldn't have been afraid of this project either. It really wasn't as tough as I guess I thought it was going to be. But I still gotta write a paper. Who wants to do that? Any takers here?
Maybe if you just go to sleep, someone will write it for you and you can just wake up and it'll be done.
Plus, the darn thing's gonna be so long, no one's gonna want to watch it.